A World Series continues tonight. Scene shifts to Philadelphia. Pivotal Game 3, Astros, Phillies. Coverage begins 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. And joining us right now is our friend Tom Verducci. Tom, welcome to the show. I want to jump right in. Rain pushed the game from Halloween to tonight. Syndergaard not on the mound, so we get Suarez. How big of a deal is this?
Well, it's an advantage for the Phillies. There's no doubt about that because they were going to go bullpen game with Syndergaard. He really was going to pitch maybe 3 innings. So going bullpen game when you're playing 3 straight days, that's tough to cover, right? So now Syndergaard is at the back end of these 3 games with Syndergaard going game 3 or game 5 and Suarez going game 3, Nola in 4. So this sets up much better for Rob Thompson in terms of his bullpen management.
All right, Tom, I said yesterday when we were discussing the World Series that I thought this thing might not go back to Houston, that I could see the Astros winning all 3 here. And then our trusty, wonderful researcher, Dusty, who also is a Phillies fan, was like, hey, Phillies haven't lost a single playoff game at home, and they have historically great in that building. If this thing were to end in 5, do you think it is possible for Houston to win 3 straight there, or is it more likely that Philly were to close it out at home?
I mean, listen, given this venue and how well the Phillies have played here, it's difficult to imagine the Phillies losing 3 straight here. As you said, they're 5-0. And there's something going on in this ballpark. The word for it is energy, right? It's extremely loud. Home field advantage in the postseason traditionally doesn't mean all that much in terms of the metrics of it. But you feel it when you're here. The Phillies players have talked about this. Nick Castellanos told me it feels like a European soccer game where the fans are into it from the very first pitch and never stop. Now, on the noise scale meter, I got to tell you, for me, nothing beats the Metrodome back in 87 and 91. They had a Teflon roof. It's indoors, sound bouncing all over. That was an AC/DC concert for 3 hours. Old Yankee Stadium was a little bit dangerous. Rob Thompson coached third base there, and he said the ground was shaking during some of those playoff games. That's loud. But this is right there below those 2 places. It is a home field advantage. There's no doubt about that. The Phillies are riding this momentum. And I bet you these Phillies fans, they didn't get rid of their Halloween costumes because of the rain out last night. They're going to show up dressed to kill tonight.
Oh, I like that. Wow.
Well, Tom, the man, of course, in Philly is Bryce Harper. He was hitless in game 2, first time since the first game of these playoffs. Bounced back with a nice game, though. We had 2 hits after going hitless in the first game of the playoffs. What do you expect him to do tonight?
Yeah, listen, I'm a little bit surprised that the Astros actually have attacked Bryce Harper. I thought maybe as hot as he's been, they would pitch around him. And Rob Thompson actually agreed with me. Yeah, he said I'm a little bit surprised. Remember, the first at-bat of this series, Justin Verlander on Bryce Harper, 3 straight fastballs in the strike zone, struck him out. And that kind of sent the signal that, hey, we're not pitching around you. We're coming after you. Now, Rob Thompson also mentioned that Bryce's swing right now is a little bit too uphill. Looks like he's trying to do a little bit too much. So I expect him to make that adjustment here after a couple of off days. At home, yes, a lot of energy in the ballpark. But they've been getting Harper out on those fastballs up that he's just a shade underneath. I'd expect him to make that adjustment. And he knows at this point he's got to be ready to hit because he has been seeing pitches to hit.
So can we stay there, Tom? What do you mean that his swing, he's just swinging too high, or is it the way he's reacting to the pitches? Like, is he going to, just tweak his swing like a golfer, or what are you expecting?
Yeah, the problem sometimes for Bryce is he gets underneath the baseball where that barrel starts to flatten out and he's working uphill to the baseball. He knows the fastballs that he's going to see are going to be at the top of the zone. So to do that, he has to kind of cover the baseball with his top hand rather than coming up to it to stay level with it. Now, it's a little bit different tonight. I got to tell you, Lance McCullers Jr. on the mound does not throw fastballs to left-handed hitters. He will throw cutters and mostly all breaking balls and changeups. The cutter he likes to throw high in the zone. So Bryce Harper, against McCullers anyway, is not going to see velocity at the top of the zone like he saw from Verlander. It's a little bit different approach here. McCullers actually tougher on lefties because of his breaking stuff than righties. So Bryce Harper's approach will be a little bit different. He'll try to pick up one of those cutters up in the strike zone.
Tom, I lived in Houston and covered the local teams from 2012 2016. When I got there, I think we went a year and a half on the radio without mentioning the Astros because they were the worst team in baseball. And in the midst of that, they obviously famously have the Sports Illustrated cover that proves to be prophetic. And now they're in the midst of, is it a dynasty? That's my question. If they win this World Series, Is 2 in 6 years and 4 appearances in 6 years, in your opinion, is it a dynasty? Does it surpass what the Giants did earlier last decade when they went to 3 and won all 3 in 5 years?
I wouldn't say it surpasses the Giants, only because the ultimate test of a dynasty is actually winning the last game of the year and taking the championships home. As you mentioned, the Astros here are going for a second championship in 6 years. But listen, they made 6 consecutive LCSs. That alone is incredible. But of course, when you talk about 2017, you have to talk about the context of the sign stealing scandal. That is a part of that narrative. They were disciplined. They paid the price. Listen, I give them credit because they shut the Yankees down in Game 6 and 7 in the ALCS by letting them score just 1 run and won Game 7 on the road at Dodger Stadium to win that championship. So it wasn't all about the sign stealing. Nonetheless, it's there. I go back to what Joe Musgrove said. You know, he won a ring with that team, went to San Diego, and he said, I want to win another ring because I want a ring that's emblematic of a true championship. That's somebody who's on that 17 team. So these players here are still in Astros uniform. They're not going to say that. But I got to believe that's part of their narrative, that to really stamp this place, this Astros team, as a dynasty, you need the second title, and you need to consolidate what people think in 17 was a slightly tainted one.
Well, Tom, one of the constants of this team has been Altuve. Jose Altuve started off terribly poor in these playoffs, 0 for 25, turns it around. Now he's 4 for 9 in the World Series. What's been the key to his turnaround? And they were rolling even as he wasn't hitting the ball. Now that he is, what do you think that means for the Astros?
Yeah, good observation, because he's still the catalyst of this team. And they were winning games, obviously, when he was going 0 for 25. But they're a different team when he's rolling. And you saw these last couple of games here, a different batter in the batter's box. I mean, he was so jumpy before. I talked to the hitting coach, Alex Cintron, about this. It wasn't just that he was chasing pitches. He had way too much going on in his setup and his swing. Much quieter, especially in that game, too, for that first pitch of the game with that double to get things rolling for the Astros. The approach now looks more, let's say, comfortable, not jumping at the baseball. That's a good sign for the Astros. And I think that one swing on the fastball first pitch from Zach Wheeler, that made everybody in the Astros feel good, but nobody better than Jose Altuve. So he's the kind of guy, guys, when he gets it right, he's the guy who can throw up 3-4 hits in a row. Right. He might be in that place right now.
Tom, excellent insight as always. Thanks a lot. Enjoy South Philly. Also, go Phillies. Hey, coverage begins 7 o'clock on Fox and Fox Sports app. Thanks again, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.